Commercial Loans, may I help you?
Yes, my name is John Williams. My partner, Tom Sig, and I need a loan to open a new restaurant downtown.
Very well, Mr. Williams. Give me a little background on the project, would you? Exactly where do you plan on locating this restaurant?
Well, that's the really interesting part. We want to renovate the old New York building on Post Office Place.
Oh, really? You mean that street west of Main, behind the post office? Not much of a view, is it?
That doesn't matter. We're going to locate the restaurant in the basement.
In the basement. What type of place is this going to be?
Well, what do you think of an upscale private club?
I see. Tell me, Mr. Williams, what is the current condition of the building?
To be perfectly honest, it's been condemned.
Now, let me get this straight. You want a loan to open a private club in the basement of a condemned building on Post Office Place?
That's correct.
Mr. Williams, could you hold for just a moment, please?
When Tom and John asked us to come down and look at this location that they'd found for a wonderful new downtown restaurant, my first comment was, well, first of all, neither of you have ever been in the restaurant business, but I, am willing to come along and see what you have in mind. So we came down here to where I am now sitting, down these deep, dark steps to get to this area, and my most vivid recollection is of like a 20-watt bulb with pipes all over. Just, a boiler room. It was a boiler room. And I said, this...
With a locomotive in it, sort of.
It looked like that. I mean, I said, this is going to be a restaurant. I said, Tom and John, I knew you were crazy, but now I'm positive. I met Tom when he first came to the university, came from Nebraska, so I was one of the first persons that he met when he came here, so we've had a very long friendship and a very special friendship, and I just admired him so because he didn't know about the restaurant business, but had a feeling he could do it, and I think the reason he did it was he was here. And he wasn't here just a couple of times a day. He was here all day and all night, and he remembered everyone's name, and I think his background at the university was very helpful to him, and I think the combination of Tom and John together. Tom was out here in front greeting people and knowing everyone's name, and John was in the background making sure that the mechanism of the restaurant fell together.
And the restoration has been magnificent. Like, for instance, the glass there, I think John found that from the Hotel Utah. These booths were on the roof of the Hotel Utah. All this stuff John had collected. He was sort of a pack rat. I mean, he'd go around town and get all this stuff.
And the thing I remember that was really exciting was one night they called and said, oh, you just have to come down and see the bar, the brass bar and the beveled glass. And I'd never seen a bar like that anywhere.
I can remember opening day, we had so many people. We ran out of everything. I had ordered for 35 or 40 people, and there's no grocery store close by. I was sending bus boys down to 9th and 9th to Safeway down there to buy lettuce because we used everything up that first hour, and people were waiting to get in. The next day we increased the number of lunches to like 60. We doubled it. And after that, it was just double, double, double till we got up to 100, and I thought, well, we'll never serve more than 100. And by the end of that year, we were serving over 200, sometimes 300 for lunch, which was a phenomenal turn of tables down here. And it was because Tom was out here working these tables and hustling these people in and out. But it was fun. I mean, it was exciting.
It wasn't luck, as I always tell people, when people ask about luck, I say there's only one way you spell luck, and it's not L-U-C-K, it's W-O-R-K. And I think that's what Tom and John did a lot of. They just were here, they were working, they were seeing that things were going right, they were getting the right people. They trained their waiters and waitresses. As I say, they had a wonderful personal rapport with everyone who came in here, and it became the place to come whenever you had an out-of-town visitor or had a very important business client. This is the place you brought them, and it stayed that way for 10 years.
Denny came into the company in 1980, just prior to the opening of the Market Street Grill. He has a background that's very interesting. he has spent his entire life in the restaurant business. And I think that there is a very great possibility that he may have taken his first steps as a child in the kitchen of some restaurant back east where his father was restauranting. His mother tells a humorous story about Tom's fascination for being in the kitchen. Apparently he would be in the kitchen very often, scuttering about, and one particular day she was baking an apple pie and Tom was thumping around playing, carrying on with his childhood adventures, and ran into an interesting box, which at the time he didn't know was holding a large supply of tacks. And thinking that perhaps this was some special ingredient he should add to the pie, he poured the box of tacks into the pie, and I humorously thought maybe that was Tom's first innovative step to creative cooking.
Commercial Loans, may I help you?
Hi, this is John Williams.
Oh, yes, Mr. Williams. How are you? I understand your restaurants are doing very well.
Yes, they are. Thank you. I'm calling to see about getting a loan to open another one.
Oh, where's this one going to be?
In an old fire station.
An old fire station.
That's right.
What are you going to do with the fireman's pole?
There isn't one.
Oh, well, maybe we should discuss this just a bit more. How about over lunch at your place today?
Oh, I'm sorry. We're all booked up.
John Williams and Tom Sieg acquired Old Fire Station number 8 here on 13th East in 1982. In 1930, when the building was constructed, the residential area here was undergoing a great deal of expansion, and in order to provide a structure that would be compatible with the neighborhood, the architect chose a period revival style of architecture, which is a combination of various different styles of European architecture. And that brings to mind a comment that Tom Sieg had once made, and that is, where have you ever seen a two-door style of fire station? Which says a lot about the charm of this particular building. The outside of the building was changed very little from its original structure. A band of windows was added at the end of the roof slope on both sides of the building. And then we did add a dish room on the back side and also a delivery entrance on the back side of the building on the first level. As far as the inside of the building is concerned, everything inside of the building was designed for the broiler, with the broiler in mind.
Commercial Loans, may I help you?
Hi, John Williams here.
Yes, John, good to hear from you. What can we do for you today?
Well, we're interested in doing another project.
Mm-hmm.
I have to tell you, though, this is probably the most challenging one yet.
Okay.
You see, we want to put a Mexican restaurant in the old Salt Lake High School building on Pierpont Avenue. It's in pretty bad shape.
Hey, that sounds great, John. Would this afternoon be soon enough to start the paperwork?
John asked me if I wanted to have dinner with him. So I had dinner with him, and then he said, "Do you want to go take a walk?" Sounded suspicious, so I said, okay. So we come walk over here to the Pierpont. And John tells me a little bit on the way over about how this used to be the old Oregon Railroad depot. And then a year after it opened, they merged with the Union Pacific, and they built the depot over there on 4th West. So this had no purpose, so the Salt Lake High School district decided to open their first Salt Lake High School. With that, an addition, which is this building that we're in right now, was added to the building only 2 years after it first opened. The building was first, and the addition were both designed by an architect named Carl Neuhausen. Neuhausen was the architect who did the Capitol Theater, and he also did the Cathedral of the Madeleine. Well, when we came into the building for that walk, there wasn't much here. We're looking through the building, and John has always wanted to investigate everything, so we even went up in the old attic. Then we went into the basement, and here John had a two-story building with a basement, and we made 6 stops on the elevator. That's how efficient John knows how to turn a building into. One of the things that John did in the basement was there were the old light wells, the old-fashioned kind, that just looked out onto one of those tin retaining walls. And John decided that it wasn't best to rent out a space in the basement unless you had a lot of light into it and it didn't feel like a basement. So what he did is he took the whole light wells and he made a great big light well with big grand staircases down into it, and it called it the garden level. Well, the garden level is beautiful. I'm jealous of the space down there. And the same thing with the attic space. He decided that that was one of the nicest space. We got in between. But anyway, we took the old, this was the old gymnasium and the old learning hall, and they used to pack hundreds of students into here, and we added a mezzanine, and now we pack hundreds of architects in here. The restaurants were exciting from the first. John went on many travels for the Mexican restaurant. He went to New York, he went to Chicago, he went to Texas, he went to Mexico, he went to California to find out what Mexican food was all about, and then he has a real good sense of how it works in the community. So with him, we helped do all the space planning and the details and everything for the restaurant. One day, I said, John, best thing we need to do is make this look like an old railroad depot. So we went over to the Union Pacific and noticed all the wainscoting, and so that's how all that wood is in the old, in the Pierpont restaurant.
John Williams, what do you think of a restaurant in the old Plandone Hotel?